This is the final presentation by Allison Barnes. First we have our issues. On there is public perception, which is number 1. Some of the things that the public might question are things like, does the district actually need to save money? What about the people who lose their jobs? Where are the kids going to go and how will they get there? How much money is going to be saved and where will it go? And how will the parents react to consolidation? Number 2 is staffing. How many people will be let go between certified and classified? How will that be determined? And a lot of people will be asking, will my name be on that list? Number 3 is teacher versus non-professional union. Some of the questions in this category would be, what is the wording of how people are being told that they're being let go? Is there a certain ratio that needs to be followed? And will seniority be honored? Number 4 is administrators. How will the district handle a surplus in administrators since there's going to be a school closed? Will money need to be used to create new positions? How will it be decided who is let go? And will seniority also apply to this as well? Number 5 is transportation. Will costs go up or down depending on the busing situation now? Will there be more or less busing? And will pick up and drop off times be lengthened since there will probably be less buses? Number 6 is the students. How will they feel? Will they have to worry about fitting in their new school with all these new people? And will they be able to pick up where they left off in their content area? And then number 7 is staff development training. Will there be additional training to go along with the consolidation that staff will have to worry about? For literature review number 1, there was an article called Consolidation of Schools and Districts by Craig Halley, Jerry Johnson, and Jennifer Petrie. In this article review, they had 2 presumed benefits of consolidation. One was fiscal efficiency, and the other one was higher education quality. However, these 2 things varied across states due to differences such as history, geography, population, density, and politics. And the article also stated that these reasons need to be on a case-by-case basis. This wouldn't be found across the board no matter what school district you were in. This article also gave recommendations for cautious consolidation. They recommended that districts should closely question claims about presumed benefits of consolidation in their state. What reason is there to expect substantial improvements given that the current research suggests that savings for taxpayers, fiscal efficiencies, and curricular improvements are actually unlikely? Number 2 was to avoid statewide mandates for consolidation and steer clear of minimum sizes for schools and districts. Number 3 is to consider other measures to improve fiscal efficiency or educational services. Examples of this include cooperative purchasing agreements among districts, combined financial services, enhanced rules for educational service agencies, and things that need to be taken into account are the needs of small districts and schools, recruitment and retention, distance learning options for advanced subjects in small rural schools, smaller class sizes for young students, and effective professional development programs. And then number 4 is to investigate deconsolidation as a means of improving fiscal efficiency and improving learning outcomes. This is the same literature review continued. This is about the experience of consolidation that other districts have done. And in one recent study, it was found that the students adjusted to consolidation more readily than teachers and administrators actually did. They accepted it and just adjusted better. A school in West Virginia said that the experiments inflicted greater harm. They actually believe this because the schools became larger, the students received less individual attention, they had to have longer bus rides to and from school, and there were a lot fewer opportunities to participate in after-school extracurricular activities. And then accounts from educators suggest that consolidation may actually result in professional benefits, but it also may result in a personal cost. These benefits included professional development opportunities for increased salaries and actually enhanced job security. And then personal costs included things like increased stress, loss of confidence, and heavier reliance on support networks. This is journal review number 1, still being continued. They had some findings during their investigation of consolidation. Number 1 was that in many places, schools and districts are already too large for fiscal efficiency or educational quality. Deconsolidation is more likely than consolidation to achieve the substantial efficiencies and yield improved outcomes. Consolidation isn't always the answer. Number 2 is that financial claims about widespread benefits of consolidation are unsubstantiated by contemporary research about cost savings and learning. Number 3 is that claims for educational benefits from systematic statewide school and district consolidation are vastly overestimated and have already been maximized. Schools that are too large result in diminished academic and social performance, and some evidence suggests that the same conclusion applies to districts that are too large. Number 4 is which deconsolidation would likely produce improvement can be judged only on a case-by-case basis, with attention to the detail that sweeping state policies cannot provide. The same is actually true for the few consolidations involving a very small number of administrators, teachers, and students that might seem advisable. Number 5, impoverished places often benefit from smaller schools, and districts can suffer irreversible damage if consolidation can occur. Number 6, overall state-level consolidation proposals appear to serve a public relations purpose in times of fiscal crisis rather than substantial fiscal or educational purposes. Literature review number 2 was an article called Public and Private High Schools, The Impact of Communities by James S. Coleman and Thomas Hoffer. They had some public perceptions that they talked about in this article. They split it into 2 categories. There's a functional community and a value community. Basically, before the 1960s, schools were known as these functional communities because their beliefs meshed really well with their surrounding neighborhoods. The 2 entities worked really well together. And then after consolidation in the 1960s, these schools lost that status because it became very disorganized. And actually, Catholic schools became more popular because they kept those values that the community already had. And the author of this article had very little hope that public schools would regain these values again after consolidation. He thought that it would be too difficult to come back from the loss of it and to gain it again. Literature review number 3 was an article called Realities of Rural School Reform by Kenneth Seal and Hobart Harmon. They talked about some staffing issues that I had previously mentioned. The school personnel would be lost in consolidation, they stated. In the 6 years before 1993-94, in West Virginia, the number of schools decreased by 18%. Along with this, the number of teachers by 8%, administrators by 15%, central office by 19%, and classified personnel by 22%. Also, parents, for many community members, they had a lot of nostalgic feelings for the school in their local area because a lot of them actually went to that school, and they really wanted the kids to go to those schools as well so they could have the same feelings that they experienced as children. So they kind of felt like they were losing the most rewarding part of their lives once those schools closed. Number 4 is an article called School Size, School Climate, and Student Performance by Kathleen Cotton. She addressed some of my staffing issues. She said that larger schools tend to have less teacher morale than smaller schools, and teachers tend to have more negative perception towards administration in these issues. Administrators, like the staffing, administrators in larger schools have to work with a teacher base that has a more negative perception towards them now. In collaboration and cooperation was found to be more difficult. And literature review number 4 was an article by Kennesail and Hobart Harmon. Oh, I'm sorry, this is continued. The student issues were that student attendance, extracurriculars, and self-concepts are all higher in smaller school settings, that the dropout rate became lower. However, small school academic achievement is less equal to the achievement in larger schools. So as far as academics were concerned, it pretty much stayed the same. For the administrator interview, I interviewed a man named Ed Leggett. He's been a middle school assistant principal, a high school assistant principal, and he's the current athletic director. In addressing public perception, he stated that people who work in the school system believe in consolidation in the school system that he works at. He said the number one reason that the consolidations haven't happened yet is because people cherish their neighborhood schools. In the district that he works in, we have 5 elementary schools, a middle school, and a high school. In regards to staffing, he said in most cases certified staff would still have their positions, but the place where there would be cuts would be administrators and classified staff. Seniority does play a big factor in this district for who gets to stay in all of the areas. They would go from kind of like who's been there the longest and who has the highest degrees, and then kind of work their way down from there. The teacher union would have little say, he said. Ripping position is already in the contracts. Transportation costs would come down because of consolidated routes. He believed this to be even true if there was still the same number of students being bused. Nowadays we have a lot of buses that are not full, they're more half full or even less than half full that are busing to the schools, and he said now buses would be more full, and so that would save on costs. Parents would be upset because the younger kids would now be bused, and also he addressed, like one of my articles did, that the loyalty to neighborhood schools is so high that the parents would be really upset that that's now gone. In this area, tradition is a big thing. Students, the kids would have to adapt, which could be difficult. They're so used to the school that they're already at, which is smaller, to be put into a larger school that's already adapted. That could result in lower grades and emotional withdrawal until they become acclimated. Staff development training, he doesn't think this would necessarily happen. However, there's currently an effort through PLCs and grade level meetings to make sure all elementary schools are being more consistent across the grade levels and developing a pacing guide so everybody's teaching the same things at the same time. That way, if a kid does transfer schools within the district, it's very easy for them to pick up where they left off. As far as an action plan, I figure first we need to look at all the facts. Why are we looking into closing these schools? Is it for financial reasons? Are the building conditions bad and we need to tear it down? What exactly needs to be consolidated? How many schools? How much personnel would we lose in the process? And is this actually going to benefit the district? Is doing all this work and upsetting people and doing things like that, is that actually going to help the district in the long run? Next, we would need to develop a plan. We would have to meet with the appropriate people to make a plan and discuss those previous questions and looking at all the facts. If the school does get closed, what is all the information we need to present to the public? That way they understand what's going on. Next, I would hold a forum. I would allow personnel to come to ask questions, and then I would probably hold another forum where the public could come and ask questions. Knowledge is important with a decision this large. People need to feel like they understand what's happening and why it's happening to get on board. Next, I would meet with the staff that would be affected by the consolidation. This would be whether they will be transferred or let go. And then finally, we would have to begin the transitions. Here are my resources, my 4 articles, and then the interview with Ed Leggett.